Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today I'm going to be doing a video ranking the Rick and Morty Season 4 Funko Pops. This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be going through all of these pops, and keep in mind that each of the scores that I give them are just my personal opinion, because each of these pops, I'll be giving them each a score out of 5, and then at the end it'll be a score out of 45, which I will then tell you the percentage of, and then I'll tell you my want list for the pops, and then I will also let you know my final verdict for the wave. So let's get straight into this here. There's 9 pops in this list, so let's move on to number 9. Alright, so at number 9 we have Death Crystal Morty. Now this one's pretty cool. I like the sort of very blank expression that he has, and his eyes being blue also adds a unique kind of tone to this one in design. I like the sort of straps that he has going down him. It almost looks like overalls a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. This one is just very simple, and there's an exclusive version of it that we'll talk about later in the list, and I just feel like that one's much superior to this one, so that's why this one's right at the bottom of the list. I think that it's still an alright looking pop, but just nothing amazing, and I'm going to give this one a 1.5 out of 5. So now let's move on to number 8. Okay, so at number 8 we have Hologram Rick clone, and this one is a pretty cool looking pop. Once again, going with that sort of blue tint to the character. I know that the Morty only had blue eyes, but it's just kind of funny that they both kind of have that going on. And of course it makes sense for this one because it's a Rick clone, and this one's holding a sign that says, "We're here, we're sheer, go clone your Rick." So that's a pretty interesting phrase there. I'm not too sure what the context of it is, but I think that it's interesting that we're seeing these pops here before we even know that much about the season. I know that there's been at least one trailer released, and I have seen it, but of course that doesn't give us a lot of context to as what these characters' roles are going to be. But I mean, they're all basically just different versions of Rick and Morty, so I still think that's really cool. But this one just falls a little short because you'll see throughout this list, they were definitely not just taking the phrase clone lightly. They cloned this Rick quite a few times, so you might feel like you see this one again in the list, but for now this one's going to get a 1.5 out of 5, and let's move on to number 7. Okay, so at number 7 here we have Hologram Rick. This is the protester version, and this one is going to be a Hot Topic exclusive, and yeah, it's basically the same pop here. You can see I think it's almost the exact same. Yeah, it's the exact same sort of torso and legs, like main body piece. The only thing that changes is the sign and just what's written on it. This one says, "We will not be ignored," and nope, I'm not ignoring you, no worries there. And the expression on Rick has changed as well, but the main thing that has changed about that is that you can see part of his eyelids on his eyes, and you can also just see his expression has changed overall on his mouth, and I think that's pretty... I don't want to say lazy because that sounds very mean, but like it's just a very lackluster exclusive here. I feel like there isn't that much of a draw for people to be like, hey, let me go spend the extra money to go get this exclusive over just buying the common, which in my opinion is about the same amount of quality here. So it's very interesting that they're going with this angle here. I get it, they're a bunch of clones basically, but I don't know, it's still just a little bit uninteresting to me. But this one is going to earn a 2 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 6. Okay, so at number 6 we have the Floating Death Crystal Morty, and once again a little bit of one that feels like a repeat here, but this time he's floating. I know, it's a pretty amazing exclusive here, and this one's going to be available at Walmart exclusively, which is gonna make it very challenging for people to get it, especially here in Canada. I'm not sure if there's any viewers here watching who are from Canada, but I don't know about you, but I've noticed that we don't really get Walmart exclusives anymore, even though we have Walmart. Like, it's not like in Canada Walmart's like a small chain of stores. Like, we have plenty of them, and I'm not really too sure why we don't really get the exclusives anymore. The last one I remember getting was the Ronin Pop from Avengers Endgame, and we got some of the Thanos Chrome ones, but we never got the Hulk Chrome ones. We haven't gotten any Walmart exclusives after that, at least from what I've seen, and that's very disappointing here. But for this pop, getting back on track here because I went a little bit off track, this one's just not very unique here, and overall just for the Death Crystal Morty design, I'm just not a big fan of it. It's a little bit simple to me, but all of the Rick and Morty designs have a more simple look to them, but that also kind of goes with the charm of their designs. Now, some of them can be a little bit more complex. I don't really know what I'm saying. I don't want to sound like I'm being super harsh on these. I like Rick and Morty, the show. Like, I really enjoy watching it, but I don't collect any of the pops, so that's also why they might not be of as much interest to me. But for this one, I'm going to be giving it a 2.5 out of 5. And now let's move on to number 5. Alright, so at number 5 we have Hologram Rick, and this one is glow in the dark, and it's an Amazon exclusive. So once again, something that Canadians will not be able to get easily, even though we have Amazon. We don't get Amazon exclusives really. There's a few that we get, like a couple of them, but I don't know, it's very rare. But for this one, overall, just for the pop design, I think it still looks alright. I like the design of the Hologram Rick pop. It's just that they basically copy and pasted it 3 times, so it's a little bit repetitive here. At least this time the sign is sort of a different color here. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, there's actually 4 Hologram Ricks. We actually have another one on the list later on, so pretty crazy. But at least for this one we get a different sign. It almost looks like a Rick sign, more so because it has like the Rick eyebrow and eyes, and it says "we see through you." So yeah, this one's looking straight into my soul, and I'm quite terrified. So let's give it a score here and then move on. For this one, it's going to get a 3 out of 5. And now let's move on to number 4. Alright, so at number 4 here, we get a nice fresh breath of air here. We get Wasps Prick. Now, this one's pretty cool. It's basically the B-movie version of Rick here, and it's just so nice to get a Rick that doesn't look like Hologram Rick, I gotta say. This one, though, particularly is a little bit lower on the list here. It's not in the top 3 or anything, because I gotta be honest, this design is, like, terrifying, and, like, almost not in a good way to me. I feel like it just looks really weird. I get that it's almost meant to be like a combination of like a wasp that like mutated into Rick or something, but or Rick that mutated into a wasp, but it's very creepy looking. Like those yellow eyes especially, it just looks dead to me. It's giving me the death stare here, and I've never been more terrified of wasps, and I find myself saying that I'm scared from a lot of these pops, and yeah, I kind of am, especially this one. But I do like the scale of it. It's cool how this one's still going to be a standard like 4-inch pop here, so we don't have to pay any extra, because it does look like it's going to be a little bit larger there. But overall, this one's just nothing spectacular to me. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 just for being more unique, but that's about it here. Now let's move on to number 3. Alright, Alright, so at number 3 here we have Kirkland Musics, and this one I really like. I'm a big fan of Mr. Musics and that character, and I think that this one's going to be very interesting in the show. It's almost more of that that's really intriguing me here, because this one overall does have a pretty simple design. It's just a red there. I do like the darker red around the eyes. It makes him look very angry, and just the hair there looks very like comical. Like, this character is going to be a little bit funny, but in a more serious way, and I would love to see Kirkland Musics go up against Mr. Musics. I think that could be a very interesting battle there. But yeah, this one's just a simple pop, but I think that it's a cool design overall, and I just really like the characters. So for this one, I'm going to be giving it a 4 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 2. Okay, so at number 2 here we have Hologram Rick clone, and this one is the Funko Shop exclusive. And what's interesting about this one is the Funko sticker that they gave it. I couldn't find a picture of this one out of box in good quality, so I only have one in box. And for this one, it's interesting because the Funko sticker is like the Christmas one for their 12 days of Christmas, and that's a little bit interesting because I assume now this is revealed that that's going to be one of the pops for that event. So kind of cool here. I do like how they're making it glow in the dark, and this one to me stands above the others because I like how it's a different expression here, a completely different one. It's not just a different like angry Rick. This one just looks uninterested, and he's holding a big bucket of chicken there. He's got a chicken wing right in his other hand as well. I think this one's just kind of cool, just kind of expressing how some people might be uninterested in all of these clone Ricks, and it seems like that's how this one is feeling. So for this guy, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 5, and now let's move on to number 1. Alright, now it's the moment that you've all been waiting for. It's the number 1 pop for the Rick and Morty line, according to me, and it is Teddy Rick. So this one is really cool, and I especially love this one because I'm just gonna cut to the chase. This one has an awesome chase, and actually, I didn't really think about that. I just said, let's cut to the chase, so could have made a real joke about that, but I suppose I did unintentionally. But nonetheless, this one looks really cool here. I absolutely love the look of this one. I think it's in a little bit of a dark way here, like very funny how there's just glass in his eye and in his head, and he just looks like, yeah, I'm a teddy bear. I cannot be affected by this. So it's pretty interesting here. We've seen Rick turn into multiple things, but now he's a cute little teddy bear. So I think that's going to be a pretty unique storyline. I'm not sure whether that's going to come into context in the show, but I'm sure it'll be pretty funny. And that's why I really like this pop. I think it just looks very funny, a very cool design. And the chase is actually pretty unique here. Sometimes they go really lazy on the chase, but he's given a different expression there. There's blood on him, there's glass in him, so it's quite a different one. And also there's a piece of hair coming out at the top of his head, which I just noticed, so that's another cool detail there. So there are quite a few changes here, so I do really like that added detail. And for this one, I'm going to be giving it a 4 out of 5. And now let's head over to my want list. Alright, so for my want list, I'm going to make this nice and quick. There are no pops from this line that I actually want. Now, the only one that's a little bit of a exception to that sort of saying there, or what I just said, is the chase version. Sure, if I find the chase, I'll definitely pick it up. That's with any chase pop, basically, except for Dogan Dagus. Nobody wants that chase. No offense to any fans of that character or fans of Valerian. But yeah, this chase is a really cool one. I think that it has a great design, so that would be the only one that I would pick up, but it's not necessarily a want. Like, I wouldn't pay more than like $15 for the chase. Like, that's about my maximum there. But that's all I have to say for my want list here. Now let's move on to my final verdict for the wave. So out of these 9 pops here for the new Rick and Morty Season 4 wave, out of 45, this wave is going to get a 26, and that translates over to a score of 58%, so almost at a 60% there. It's not a horrible score considering how hard I was being on this wave. You'd really have to talk to someone who really enjoys Rick and Morty pops, and that's just not me. I really love the show, but the thing with the pops is I'm just not too interested in collecting them, so I'm being a little bit harder on them. It's not a scenario where it's like I have a soft spot for these ones. I just really don't, but I do enjoy the design still, and I really love the show, and I'm very excited to see where these designs come into context within the show, so I'm very interested for all of those things. But let me know your thoughts on my list here, and let me know your ranking as well, or just tell me your number 1 pop from the wave, and we'll see if any of us have the same one. Thank you so much for watching the video. I will see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.